We ready? All right, call this meeting to order. Please rise. The flag salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. It's going to be a 6-hour meeting.
I got a meeting.
Roll call, please. I'm making fun.
Okay. One second.
That's not serious business here. Good.
I'm telling you, I'm bringing the tapes from 8 years ago. We used to be here at midnight.
That's ineffective leadership.
That is exactly right.
Ineffective leadership.
I was not the leader.
That's what I'm told right now.
No reason to be here for that long.
Right.
I was only a councilman.
Anything longer than an hour.
You mean only council?
Yes.
We're being recorded.
I
It's good.
agree.
What do you mean only council?
That is
Actually, 7 minutes.
Roll call.
Mayor Capano.
Here.
Mrs. Passio.
Here.
Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Here.
Mr. Farrell.
Here.
Mrs. Kelly.
Here.
Mr. Root.
Here.
And who's here? Oh, it's Dan.
Tom.
Mr. Long. Mr. Bayshore.
Here.
And Mr. Diori.
Here.
And Mr. Wozunk.
Mr. Wilson, yes.
Oh, she does horses.
Public notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act is given by the clerk in the following manner. 1, posted on the bulletin board at the Borough Clerk's office on January 3rd, 2018, and 2, emailed to the retrospect concurrent posted on January 3rd, 2018. The first order of business we have this evening is a public hearing. This is for ordinance 18-13, which is an ordinance amending bond ordinance 18-08. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance, please come to the microphone and give your name and address. Seeing no one, is there a motion to close the public portion?
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Lobenstein, second by Mr. Ranieri. All in favor?
Aye.
Public portion is closed. Would someone like to make a motion? Let me just once again reiterate what this is. This is the original bond ordinance that we had,
Okay.
but then we received some additional funding, so we moved money around.
I'll see you around
based on that
7:30.
Now, I make a motion to adopt on second and final reading and advertise according to law.
Okay.
Second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Root, second by Ms. Passio. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
All right, this ordinance is adopted. That's what you needed? You needed that, Mark? Is that the last part of CDBG, or was that different? Oh, we did yours before. This was you.
This is me.
This was you. Okay. All right, so that takes care of that. Resolution 18-128 is a resolution authorizing an interlocal service agreement with the Black Horse Pike Regional School District and the Borough of Runnemede. This is for the school resource officer. This is for the school year 2018-2019 for $95,551. This is the same amount that was given to us last year for the officer. Is there someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Ranieri, second by Ms. Passio. Any other discussion? Do I want to ask anything? Now, roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
All right, the resolution is adopted. There's another resolution. Resolution 18-129 is a resolution accepting a low quote for the security cameras. So this is the 38 cameras or such, is that what it was? 40 cameras?
I think it was 32.
Whatever it is.
I can look it up.
It doesn't matter. This was the low bid.
It was.
The low bid of $25,563, which includes
32.
32 cameras.
What is it, 25,000?
25,000, yeah,
That's very reasonable.
563. It includes all the
That's wonderful.
hard drive and all that kind of stuff.
Wonderful.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Mr. Farrell. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Kelly.
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mrs. Passio.
Yes.
Mr. Farrell.
Yes.
Mr. Root.
Yes.
And Mr. Ranieri.
Yes.
6 ayes.
All right, the resolution is adopted. Okay, new business. First thing we have is discussion of resolution to remove liens where partially paid through bankruptcy court. Is that you, Joyce?
Yeah, it's just an odd situation that doesn't happen very often. A lien holder purchased liens on a property At some point, the homeowner declared bankruptcy, and apparently payments were being made to the lien holder, but not through my office, through bankruptcy court.
Oh,
And the judge can do that, even though it doesn't always work out well, but that's how it was done. So I just wanted to put it on record that the liens, the money we received, that.
so we're getting money back, or we're
No, they-
erasing money?
They gave us money to redeem them. It's, in addition to this, the company that held the liens that were involved in the foreclosure also holds the lien further on that they're using to foreclose on, but under a different corporate name. So they wanted everything to show that one company lost money, one company gained money, and that's why it was done in an odd sort of way.
Okay, so we're gonna have a resolution
The
basically,
resolution is just going to reiterate this mishmash of information.
and then it'll be one lien,
Well, it's just going to be, they're going to be redeemed,
every need.
but
Okay.
partial payments, because it's not going to be reflected in the way a normal lien would be.
Does anybody have any issues?
So that'll be on for the next meeting.
Okay. Discussion of public hearing of ordinance 18-14. Which one is that?
That's the personnel manual.
Oh, the personnel manual. Was there any other, I mean, if everyone's okay with it, we're gonna do final, we've already introduced it, correct?
We have already introduced it. Is it for adoption? this
Yeah,
week?
it'll be for
It'll be
adoption
for adoption next, at
at the
December
next.
4th.
Oh, at the next,
Okay,
oh, at the council meeting, yes, yes.
so adoption at the next meeting.
Just to let everybody know, I won't be there at that meeting, I don't know if that makes a difference, just make sure there's enough people to
As
vote.
long as we have 4. Right?
I'm there, I'm
Okay.
there.
Here's my notice.
All right, thank you. Now we have review of best practices. Mr. Diori, you want to go through that? You get on the microphone? You want to just read that? You didn't go over these already, these are you and I went over these.
I sent them out to everyone, and I was just gonna ask anybody if they had any questions related to it.
Well,
To go through all 61 of them.
Are we supposed to what's the requirement? Just that we were all supposed to review it?
I'll review it, I sent it out to everyone, and if you had
I
any
have no
questions
questions.
regarding it,
Pretty
We did discussion
pretty
at the last meeting.
straightforward.
we
yeah.
did, and we did pass the criteria, we met the percentage, I think we had 6 that negatively affect us, and our percentage was in the 90s. Our state aid is going to be 100% this year, and there are some things that we answered no to, but I couldn't answer prospectively because it was just yes and no answers, but they are things that we are working on.
So we'll have
Committee
yes.
meetings, having finance meetings, different things like that, mostly revolved around committees. But
So you're saying our committees didn't meet enough? I know the public safety committee meets.
we need to meet more regularly with finance committee meetings and meetings like planning and zoning.
Okay.
There were several questions when there were about maybe 6 questions concerning planning and zoning.
Is that something that Candy Cleanhammer would handle?
Well, I think you're saying it had to do with us as the governing body.
It had to do with us as a governing body and also rules and whether there's documentation regarding meetings, different things like that. A planner, we're talking about a planner, so
Well, yeah, let me jump right into that. One of the things we're doing, we changed our RFP, our request for proposal. It's not just going to be a planning board engineer, it's going to be a planning board engineer and a planning board planner. Because after that last application that we told you about with the senior housing going on 9th Avenue, it was pretty obvious that this is not a project we've ever had to deal with before of that magnitude. So we might have to hire somebody to represent us. And the way it works in the planning and zoning board is we hire them, but they're actually paid for by the applicant. So we have to go out for a proposal for that, and then we'll just have to put an escrow amount for the planner to do that. So that was one of the questions. We had a plan.
that was one of the questions. Another one had to do with engineering and stormwater. There was one question in reference to floods and stormwater and how we're assessing it and whether there's notice enough to the residents, utilities, different things like that. If the power goes out, is the utility advising all the residents? Are we increasing the visibility of what to do when the power goes out? For the most part, we're good, but there are some things that need to be proactive. I sent Mark an email asking him questions and asked if we can be more proactive. I don't know, do you remember that?
I don't know if anything the borough can do, but I know in Cherry Hill, I signed up for ESCMD, so when there's an outage in my area, I get a text, and then it also says about how long the power's going to be out. So I don't know if that's.
So you have to do that personally.
I get
We
that.
do,
I
we
do
do have.
that. I have that too.
That's one of the examples that we did.
Okay, so we do that.
This year, it seemed,
You might want to advertise that to
Yeah.
residents.
We'll allow them to sign it,
Yeah.
let them sign it.
Yeah.
right, those are the things that we need to do. This year, they had 61 questions. The question, which was up by 40 questions from last year, they keep going back and forth. But it seemed like this year, they took a subject and they asked several questions on the same subject. Some were pretty ambiguous, but we did very well.
Okay.
We did very well.
I know you went over it a little bit last time. I think the one that we thought we would definitely fix is our budget one time.
Oh,
That was the number one.
Oh, the budget, the due date is April 30th. Because we have a new system, the FAST system. It's a database that was rolled out by the state. Instead of paper forms now, we enter our budget into the state database. It accumulates data, it automatically does the user-friendly budget, which is...
Saves a lot of time.
It saves time and it doesn't save time. It saves time, I still have to accumulate the data. The statistical information, the tax information, how many residents, healthcare, things like uncompensated balances,
Yeah.
absences and stuff like that. Different things like that. But it's going to be good. It's like anything when you're starting the process. It takes a little time, so the state gave us some extra time.
Mayor Potts,
Yes.
you said that I changed the ad. I did not change the ad because it was already to the newspaper. So the ad has to be changed and online has to be changed. The problem is that our online person is away on vacation until the end of the week, I believe. Dan, how can I rectify that? In other words, the ad to the newspaper went as, it
And I
just
tried-
says engineer, it doesn't say engineer/planner. And the actual specs that are up on our website say engineer.
Right.
So can I do an addendum? Can I re-advertise it?
I would re-advertise it.
Just re-advertise it?
Safer.
Just redo it, okay.
Should I change the date that it's due? I had it due December the 11th. That's still a lot of time.
Well, it's still within your 10 days. Yeah, I would give the same amount of time frame. I think starting over is a safer way to go.
And the planning board meets later than us.
There you
so
go. Maybe
gives
like
us a little more time.
December 15th or so.
So it'll be the planning board engineer that will say.
Engineer/planner.
Because we've, as Mark and Jim, and Mayor will tell you, with specifications on an RFP for a service, they have to be pretty airtight and no room for error or any type of ambiguity. So that's why, that's my suggestion. Okay.
We're trying to be a little ambiguous with just engineer/planner.
No, I know, but I would.
I mean, all the criteria is the same, we just want people to provide us with.
Is that okay to do it that way, or should you separate them out?
You can do it that way, just have to make sure it's advertised consistently without the specs appear. I would restart.
I'm gonna have to
Okay.
re-advertise it.
We'll re-advertise that, okay. So, best practices are good with that, you don't need a resolution or anything like that?
Just
Okay.
discussion.
Just discussion.
There's no questions from council?
No?
I know you did send it out, I did look
And,
at it.
yeah, and if you happen to have questions or anything, I'm always available.
I guess I have one question while we're going, finance meetings, and then we schedule a bunch of them, it's a
We
little
have.
difficult. We may want to piggyback them on caucuses, because it's an early meeting, maybe get here.
That's not a bad idea.
5:30 to 6, and then we do caucus.
That's fine with me.
Let's do that.
That's fine with
So
me.
look out in the future and send us, Mike, myself, and Alan.
Okay, 5:30?
Yeah,
It's fine.
we'll do that on caucus.
Okay.
And then we're
That's
done.
fine,
It
yeah.
doesn't necessarily have to be every month, though, either,
No,
right?
No, no,
Four
but
times a
you
year.
can, yeah, 4 times.
Just
Okay.
get them all scheduled out. and
Don't
done.
worry, we meet enough that I was able to say that we met, we did meet.
But it wasn't a finance meeting, you couldn't answer it that way.
Right, but they had several different questions related to it, so
Well,
we
now
did-
we got that resolved, check it off your list, we're good.
we're good.
All right, that's good.
Okay. Discussion of open complaints meeting, did you want to go more into that? Did you,
Yes.
that was the one, I guess, that it was Mike, Bob, the three of us. You were there, Keith?
Right. We
What was
had,
the issue?
we had maybe, what, 10 issues that had been open for a while because of the uncertainty of how to attack these issues.
Use the mic. You had a couple of.
Mostly with residents, with borders, the property borders and things that have either limbs that have fallen on their property and or
Yeah, trees,
trees,
wild areas.
growth, a creek.
I think the general consensus that we come up with, and I guess I'm trying to remember the meeting now, was, I think our attitude towards wild areas, we're gonna leave them wild. So why should we go, you know, our ordinance says that if a tree's ready to fall, you're supposed to have it removed. Well, if it's in the woods, are we gonna go back into the woods and take the tree down when that's a natural sort of function?
Well, the road, the small animals rely on it.
Yeah.
And we understand that, so that was part of the idea, and then the other thing was to access some of these woods, we'd have to go in people's backyards. So how do we get into people's backyards and do this? So I think our thought process was is that we reiterate the point that any branch that hangs over onto a person's property, that person has the right to clean it, and the same thing with the wooded areas if they want to clean the branches back. Now, at the same time, we don't want people dumping in the woods.
No.
So that's another issue that we're trying to, you know, even though they get to utilize the woods, we don't want them to be dumping, even branches and leaves and stuff like that. That was one issue, right? So the idea was that we were going to, we really put a lot on Mr. Knight. These are all issues that Mr. Knight's been dealing with. We were basically saying to him, these were our suggestions. He needs to help us formulate something. You know, the water that comes out of sump pumps, right? That was one of our issues. Discharge of water. That's a problem because some people, they discharge out into the street and it freezes. Or there's constant water out there, where it's very clear that the water has to stay on your own property.
So it was a lot of, the meeting was based on, Keith brought the issues to me.
Yeah.
And I got a roundtable together so we could help him resolve these issues, and it was very productive. Subsequent to that meeting, he has sent me several emails with proposed changes to the ordinances that we talked about.
So council would have to review all
Address. So what's going to happen is it's the end of the year, it's budget time, all that stuff. I'm accumulating the data. In 2019, we're going to take a more aggressive approach to our ordinances. And we're going to, you know, I think the mayor wants to do this as well. Take a look at our ordinances and update them, change them where needed, and that's part of the process.
Is that part of our master plan?
No, a little different. Master plan is land use side.
Right.
This is more like property maintenance
Yeah.
issues, you know.
Codes.
Instead of black and white, give them solutions. to
Yes.
people, you know?
Yeah, some solutions was the thought process.
So-
Same thing with the streams, our attitude towards how we have to keep the streams open and clean, you know. So I think we have to clarify things a little bit better. But we gave a lot to Keith, so Keith's gonna bring it back to us, and then council will vote on it, right?
Right, and it was kind of like a jumping point to cleaning up some of the ordinances and making them more specific. So it was a very productive meeting. And he has started.
Yeah, so that's
He
all.
has had the,
Okay, discussion of radon grant. There was something sent to the town, basically the state, the DEP wants us to they would give us a certain amount of free radon. Runnemede is considered a higher level of radon in the state. And radon is just natural radiation that comes out of the ground. And my house where I'm at, I actually have a radon fan. And when I did my addition to my house, I had to put a 4-inch pipe from the basement up into out the attic, and then the crawl space up into the attic. So I was getting nervous. My son was down there all the time, so I actually bought one of those little radon tests. And it's pretty funny. You have to close off all the windows and leave it there for a 24-hour period. I don't know if you ever do it. So the state basically, they'll give us $2,000 worth of radon tests. So we don't really have to authorize Keith to do it, or do we have to?
no, it's already done. Mayor.
Oh.
I have an update. I asked Keith and Fred to collaborate on it. Fred had a lot of valuable information to give to Keith because it was kind of a construction responsibility to
It
do
is.
that because of the radon. But Fred has grant writing abilities and has some knowledge on radon. So I had them coupled together. I signed the document. It's out in the mail.
So if we get it, we'll get the radon kits here. We'll advertise that we'll give them away for
That'd
free.
be
First come,
great.
first served. They take all the kits, and then that's right.
That's
That's the
great.
way to do it. And maybe we do it every year if they offer it.
That's awesome.
Discussion of energy audit. Is that you, John, or is that Jim?
She's working on it.
We're kind of at the same place we were last time. I submitted the information to, I guess, a consultant who specializes in offering energy solutions to municipalities. And I checked in with him, and he said that he's accumulating the data from the invoices that I send him. And when he has an answer, he'll be back.
You get lower electric bills and things like
Yeah.
that. Okay. I agree, we need to be more
Is that part of
proactive.
our plan to get solar on our buildings?
Well, I think that's, with John,
It's separate.
it's a combination, right?
When Jim started, you know, it was an awful big project for him to start his first month. So it did kind of go in the back burner. It's coming out. I know Harry's looking forward to getting it working. The green team is going to benefit for it, and maybe move us up into platinum. Is that right?
So, you're talking about sustainability.
Yeah. Plus, it's something we need to do because of the cost of the savings, the amount of money we're going to be spending, right?
So
Well,
solar is part of that?
No, not really. No.
Well, the
It's separate.
the consultant that I have, that I've worked with before, he will definitely be able to help us at a cost structure level with our electric and any other utilities that we're using. But in addition to that, he'll be able to take our information that John's accumulated, Harry's accumulated as far as what we need, and he has contacts that he can work with us to coordinate everything. So that's what the plan is.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, let me just piggyback on that, because one of the things we've been talking about, and when we started talking about committees again, we talked about construction committee, take care of court. One of the issues that's been brought up is that the code enforcement and construction department, they have some funding that is specific for that department. And one of the thoughts was, since they're driving around town all the time, maybe to get a little electric vehicles. So there's also a $15,000 grant to put the charging station in. So the thought is we use our own money to buy the 2 electric vehicles. We hopefully at the same time or simultaneously, we apply for the grant for the charging station. And then the reason I bring it up is because you brought up the silver. If we do those kinds of things, they keep giving
I
us
think
more
that
points.
should be next year's budget possibly.
Well, look at that, well, we can, we could, because that fund is dedicated to the construction department, and
I think
they are entitled to spend
When
it.
you say charging station, would that be open to the public?
Yes, but it would also be for our own vehicles. So, you know, you could do both. So we could charge our own vehicles, but then if anybody came to the borough, they could charge their vehicle. And that's a
Would
possibility.
they be code
That's
enforcement
wonderful.
vehicles?
I believe so. It would have to be construction and code enforcement,
Right.
because that's the money that's sort of there.
Are we considering purchasing standard gas vehicles at this point in 2019 budget?
For what, for a department?
Code enforcement?
No. This is just me.
I know, I'm
It's
just
me
saying.
seeing money in an account and
What
saying,
I'm-
why is there money in an
Mayor,
account?
Mayor, what I'm saying is, before we go ahead and spend any money on vehicles for that department, we should consider that it be electric, regardless of whether you have a charging station or not.
But I think they go hand in hand.
They do go.
That's the part that I'm not sure. Do you get that?
Sometimes we don't want to buy a gas vehicle if we're not ready to go.
But do you get an electric, do you get, that's what Harry and I discussed this, do you get the vehicle first before the charging station? Or do you get the charging station
I
before
say
the,
bite the bullet and you get one of them and start somewhere. That's
You know.
what I say.
well, I think it helps our application if we say we're buying cars. Maybe
All right,
that's
so
the
we're all
way to do
moving
it.
in that direction. That's good.
You're still okay with that, right?
I'm good with that, as long as it's coming out of the UCC.
It comes out of the UCC trust account.
I think we made a pledge, didn't we, Mayor, that by 2030,
County's
we're
priority.
going to be 100% self-sufficient?
Runnemede made that
I
budget?
think you and I did.
Oh, maybe I did, I don't remember that one.
Remember the gentleman who came in?
I might not be here in 2030, that was pretty, okay, so energy audit, discussion of stormwater and sewer repairs. Who do you want, wants to take that?
I've talked enough. When's the weather gonna stop?
55 inches of rain, right?
The rainiest
And it's coming this
November on
weekend.
record.
It's coming this
Um,
weekend again, too.
Last weekend, we had at 419 West Cumminsbridge Road, we had a sewer main blockage. With that, guys tried with all the equipment we had to break through it. We couldn't break through it. We were able to make temporary arrangements for the night.
When you make breakthrough to clear the
To
pipe.
clear the pipe itself. They were pulling back some soil from the jetter and so forth, so we knew we had a break in the line. On top of it, there was a big tree that used to be in the area, so we had a root problem and so forth, and we just couldn't get through it. So with that, we had to call in a contractor. We did 6.5 hours on Sunday to open it up, replace, we wound up replacing 46 feet of pipe. okay? We replaced all the joints that the roots were going through. We actually took out a 6-foot complete clog in the pipe. We had a 1-foot break in the pipe, and with that, as the excavator pulled up the 6-foot solid piece, we pulled out about 18 feet of roots that were attached on it that looked like spaghetti down the pipe.
What
So
was the
that's-
6-foot clock? Was that tree?
It was tree roots and everything else. It was just compacted. So with that,
Oh, yeah.
that was done. It was an emergency. We had to get the contractor in and so forth like that. I'm working with Jim, with the contractor, with certified payroll and so forth, and supposed to have a number for tonight. I'm still waiting for information from him for the cost of that repair. With the rain we had over the weekend, this past weekend, we have a storm drain that has opened up that is severe at 121 Singley Avenue. That storm drain is 10 feet from the house foundation. It's another one that we need to discuss because there's no easement.
What?
We have 40-some items, there's no easements. So with that, this is a major artery off of Singley Avenue. Brought Mark out to look at it because we are dealing with Timber Creek and looking at DEP and so forth. I would like to move the pipe over, away from the property so it's away from the foundation. It kind of goes on an angle and then goes down and it goes underneath deck supports and everything else. So with that, I'd like to slurry fill that pipe so we don't have to dig an excavation and that's costly.
Slurry fill is concrete, right?
Yeah, concrete will be more or less just filled with concrete. We don't have to worry about the voids anymore. From there, unfortunately, moving the pipe over would be upstream a little bit, but we would actually go along the curb line, put a pipe underground, 15 feet, possibly to another catch basin box, and have that empty out into Timber Creek.
So there's already existing pipe emptying out in Timber Creek, you want to move it and connect to that one?
No, it's an all-new pipe. It'll be all new.
How long will that be?
Going out to Timber Creek?
Yeah.
So we have to get a permit from the DEP to put the,
We can do it. If this is an emergency condition, which it appears to be, if we got sinkholes, we could get permits after the fact.
okay,
Yeah.
as long as we do it right.
As long as the construction is done right. and
Yes.
Sufficient.
What right now is happening?
Right now, we have several sinkholes and so forth, and the water is still flowing, but the pipe,
Caused by holes in the pipe,
holes in the pipe
the
and so
soil's going into the pipe and then
Where is
washing
it
out.
flowing?
flowing out to Timber Creek. But you're getting erosion from the hill, so everything's coming in. There's actually a 6-foot void underneath the sidewalk right now
Oh, my.
that sucked in
So
from
we
all
could
rain.
possibly
Yeah, I saw
collapse the
Sidewalk.
sidewalk.
The sidewalk right now, but we gotta go down there and be ginger with it, because right now, if it does rain, the water's flowing away.
We're gonna have
If
to
we
go
pack
across.
it and do something with the holes, then we're restricting it, and water goes someplace else. So the last thing we
Does
wanna
this
do,
impact the road?
right now, it's not impacting the road. The box that's attached to the catch basin boxes are solid. They're holding it from doing any damage to the roadside. So everything's on
I mean, I
the
hate
slope
to-
side.
I hate to even say this. If there's holes coming in from the top, I've seen in the past covers over top of the hole. You know, I mean, can we see the top of the pipe?
You can't see the top of the pipe. Looking from the catch basin down, it's the corrugated
Oh, so-
rolled steel. The bottom of it's all rotted. So what's happening is it's sucking in and coming up through the bottom. So you have a third of the pipe that's gone. So unfortunately, yes, it's right down.
So do we need to get an easement done first?
We need to get an easement done. Already spoke to
Both
the
neighbors or just one neighbor?
It's one neighbor. Okay, or one property owner. With that, talk to Mark, with that, we'd like to do, quote it out as an emergency, but we have to worry about the funding. And that's gonna be the thing for it, because there is an emergency. This unfortunately, not putting a number on the table, but this is just as big as Reed Avenue. That we-
It is?
Yes.
Wow. I guess I don't get my brains.
So,
I get you a cushion for your chair.
the house in the Zackenhead is not in danger at this time. Everything is stable at this time, but we walked it, and we probably came across 12 depressions that we fell
And
into.
there's no way to slip line this kind of pipe.
We looked at it, how it's curving and so forth.
No
It's
way
actually
of
going,
getting in there.
it's going to actually cause joint problems, and we'd have to dig it up anyway. Where that is, it's easier to slurry fill it. It's more sailing, slurry fill, move it out, move it away to where we have a 20-foot clear easement, and we don't have to worry about the structure and everything else.
Can you look into other houses down the line to see if?
It's a broken pipe that's causing the problem.
No, she's saying, can we be more proactive?
Yeah.
And how do you be proactive if there's no money? So that's the bigger issue. That's something we actually were talking about. How do we pay for all these stormwater lines? You know, there's 27 miles, maybe more, 30 miles of stormwater.
We've been trying to do that.
Well, we do as they break.
Yeah.
We do as they break, or when we fix the roads. When we fix the roads, we've been fixing stuff like that.
Are we slip money anymore?
Not, that was only the sewer project. That was $1 million. We had to do
That
that.
was really sitting off the table for a few years, right?
We had to go borrow
So
more
we
money,
just have to wait
That's
till
something we have to
something
talk
breaks and then we
about.
fix it.
you know.
Not right now. well,
I mean, you know, Bassett Avenue, there's not a lot of room between these two houses.
No, it's a wide area, but we don't have the proper equipment and what needs to be done with digging up the road and so forth like that. It's better than with, also you're dealing with DEP, to have a contractor liability where it's, because the grades and so forth.
Talking on the corner, Bassett and Cedar.
No, it's all about our property.
No, we fixed that
54.
one. We fixed that by the borough employees did.
Yeah, this one here is just way too,
And then Reed was, that was $85,000.
It's gonna be the same
Don't you
thing.
have a backup?
It was the pipe in.
Bassett's fixed. Sorry.
Is the pipe in the street or in her property?
property.
Yeah, once again, they have lines on their property. So it is our responsibility because it's the stormwater line, but our predecessor somehow gave up these easements. So that's where we're doing mapping. How's the mapping coming on? Come on. So we're doing mapping to find out where all the stuff is. So maybe we can be proactive and say, hey, you've got a pipe, we want you to sign the easement now. And if you don't sign it, your house collapses, then it's on you, if you don't sign the
It's a
easement.
good segue.
It's a good segue into that.
How's the property owner?
Oh, they're very understanding about it. So third day, telling, you know,
Those houses are
technically this is
20
your,
years old.
technically this is your issue. She just bought the house 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
No easement or title or anything like that. And what do you mean? And
Technically, it's whose issue? It's her issue?
without having an easement and stuff, but then you're getting into a long court battle because if you come back that we technically should have it anyway. So, love one about the egg and the chicken, but
Yeah.
with that, we get the easement.
Well, we might as well just talk about it now and just discuss it. So what, all right, what's in the next line? Discussion of sewer fee increase as well as connection fee increase. You know, obviously, you know, if you want to fix all this stuff, we have to get the money from somewhere. So the only way to get money to fix stuff is to collect it from the people who live in the town. So one of the things that's been talked about, the two things that have been talked about were you know, we haven't raised sewer fees in the town for 10 years. It's been 164 since 2008, you know. But we've done okay. Our connection fees of $700 hasn't been changed. It's been before 2008. So the idea is a $14 increase, so from 164 to 178. Is that correct? Is that correct? 164 to 178. So what it would mean is instead of getting an $82 bill, you'd get a, whatever half of that is. Is that $89? $89. $7. Because we send the bills out twice a year. Or well, it's sent out once,
No,
but
they
then
sent out once, with 2 stubs.
2 stubs.
So
So
instead of
the-
82, it would be 89.
So 89. So what that extra money would do for us is that would allow us, now it doesn't work on stormwater. We're not allowed, we found out from our auditor that we're not allowed to intermingle monies. So the sewer utility, the money, and make sure, Jim, if I'm saying it right, sewer utility can only be used for sewer issues. The advantage we can have though is, with the money that we have for sewers, we can, we don't necessarily, it'll take some pressure off us so that we can put some money in the stormwater. So the idea is last year we put in $10,000 in stormwater last year. What did we put in, do you remember? I don't remember.
Putting it in the
20?
budget? 20.
We put 20 into the budget last year. We spent $85,000 just on Reed Avenue. We spent on, what was it, they were sewer though, the ones on Third was sewer.
No, we also had, we had the other one.
Was it Payne sewer?
No, we had.
There was one on Reed and Clemens Bridge.
That was sewer.
That was sewer.
So we had the other one on Oakland Avenue.
Oakland was storm. So
The sinkhole in Third.
there was a single and Third. So what we can do next year maybe is to start to put a little bit more money in stormwater to do it. Or the other thing we talked about was even in our bond every year. Maybe we bond $50,000 every year or something like that to do stormwater repair.
And then another option we have for this project in particular,
State can't make their pension payment. They can't. They do have $2,000 for radon though.
so as far as financing this project, which needs to be done pretty fast, we're looking at making a commitment in 2019 to do this because we need time to figure out how we're going to approach this. There's, in the bond that we just amended to move some funds around, I didn't move all the funds. I just took a certain percentage and put it into our municipal improvements line, just to cover some of the things that we want to do here. I believe there is still some balance that we're going to leave in the roads, just to see if we need it. But I believe maybe some of that can be used.
Sure, roads
for
and
this
stormwater
project.
are kind of the same thing.
Well,
My-
we do open a road to get, but not in this case. There's no road involved.
We'll be opening this road.
Right.
Ah.
So there's a line there we can walk, but
Okay.
there needs to be some planning.
Did you
That's why
discuss county?
I'm letting you know.
I think there's nobody here yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Harry, there needs to be some planning put into the financing.
I don't mean, that we do have somebody coming at 7, so we're gonna have to move a little quicker. The only thing I wanted to make sure everyone understood about, so the two other parts to this are, the residential homes are going to go up to $14. And I know this is an awful number even coming out of my mouth, it's an 8.5% increase. So the $14 represents 8.5%, from $164 to $178. But the way I would have to explain it to people is we have done it in 10 years. In 10 years, if we went by the cap, that would have been 2% a year for 10 years, that would have been 20% increase plus. But it's still tough, and I think we have to explain to people when anybody says anything, you say, look, we had a sewer line break on Clemens Ridge Road, we had 46 feet had to be replaced, and these are the kind of things, we've still got terracotta out there that's going bad. The second thing is the sewer connection fee and the commercial properties. With commercial properties, I think it's only fair that if we make our residents pay the $14, which is 8.5%, that our commercial properties, who also have not had an increase in 10 years, would be 8.5%. So, to give you some perspective, because I want to give you perspective, one of our biggest is the Philly Diner, is one of our biggest sewer bills. Their sewer bill is $7,200 a year. So an 8% increase would be close to $600, so.
I think it's the price of doing business,
But
and I think you have to consider that.
Orchard Avenue has cost us a lot of money, right? We spent $100,000 down at Orchard Avenue, which is where all of the Black Horse Pike, which is the Philly Diner and all those businesses, go down there. So we just invested, if you remember, we replaced the elevated pipe. We did some work at the pump station, with the alarm, the fencing, all
We just
that.
had 2 pumps to get replaced and one line was, so we had to upgrade that.
So it's not like we're not spending the money, we're spending the money
I don't
on.
think anybody's going to
No,
complain.
Okay.
no.
And then the sewer connection fee would be from $700 to $1,200. Now, where that number came from, that was from Bob. What he did was
He did
what
the study.
what the state required was us to come up with a total amount of money, divide it up based on the connection, and that's where the $1,200 would come from.
We did.
You know, I understood that. You did it so well that I could understand.
Yeah, I think everybody was, we did discuss that before.
2485.
What's
Thank you, Mark, for
2485?
doing that, because it was very easy to understand.
Oh, we could go up to 2485 based on the amount of
How
numbers.
many do we have a year? How many openings? Approximately.
How many openings?
Are
You know,
there
2, 1.
One, for some reason, we had 3 or 4
So it's really
last year, and then we had
financial
none.
stuff.
And really, all it really is just kind of helping offset all these other costs. So all the money basically goes into the general fund to pay for everything.
With all the,
Sewer funds.
with all the gas lines being ran down around Bulk School and all that, they're not paying that fee per are they?
Absolutely.
What?
They pay every time You remember this? We
Well-
passed the street opening
If
ordinance.
it's per,
Every time they dig a hole in our street,
every hole.
they have to give us a street opening. That's different than a sewer connection fee. They have a street opening fee.
Well, for
That's-
every house, they're digging a hole.
Yeah, they're paying us a fee every time they do
What's
it.
that fee?
Well, it's based on a minimum
It's not-
cost and
it's
square
not that
footage.
number.
Minimum. Sometimes it's higher.
If you swim it.
Sometimes it's higher.
You feel bad for South Jersey Gas?
No, but I'm wondering if every heavy house is $700.
Only when it's being built.
Okay, so we have to move on. We do have to move on, so,
Real quick, our rainfall's up 27% this year.
good.
And that's a lot
That's
of,
good. We shouldn't have any drought then. My grass should be very
well,
full.
that's a lot of the
See, I mean,
cause,
just new.
that's a lot of the cause
The
of
problem
the
with our
sources.
Putting a new service in.
They're overworked.
With the
Put a
storm,
hole
with the
in our street.
stormwater,
Putting a
right?
hole in our street.
Well,
It's different.
we don't have we don't have a mixed sewer
Street
and
opening
stormwater system.
I know.
So stormwater should not be going into our sewer systems, though we know for a fact that our numbers go higher.
No, Craig's talking about the storm report.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's stormwater, yeah, that's, it's been,
I'm just getting out there.
okay, we have to talk, the lawyer would like to talk about the Cali court prior to the residents showing up here. You want to take this quickly?
Sure, so the first question is, are we willing to take over the pump station?
Okay, want me to remind everybody again?
If,
What's
it's
the
the
answer?
more difficult question, if we want to do it, the how, it's pretty easy.
So if we want to take it over, this is 9 homes that were built between 2006 and 2012,
Well,
12 or 13.
the incorporation documents were set.
Yeah, 07 they incorporated, but they didn't finish the house. The way the planning board made the decision, they had it stipulated that once so many houses were done, certain things had to happen, which really, in my opinion, was a terrible way to do it, because what that did was, there was a lag between the last house being finished. So there was this 8-9 years that passed before the last house was finished. So we're now dealing with this decision where the planning board made the builder put a pump station in and do a basin, which makes common sense. It's actually very common sense to do this. The homeowner association was created, or supposed to have been created, or started.
It exists.
It exists on paper. However, the developer never physically had meetings, never got the people together, never sent out homeowners bills.
Yes, but the bylaws state that when they don't have the meetings, that does not
Ah.
constitute a
I understand.
dissolution of the association.
Okay, so,
Very important.
so the situation, we have a question.
It still exists, it exists.
The pump station was built to the specifications that were required by our planning board and borough engineer. Obviously, it wasn't built to the standards that a town would build it, but it was built for 9 homes. So compared to the Orchard Avenue pump station, which is 100 times larger than this pump station, maybe more than 100 times larger, this is a small little pump station for 9 houses. The basin isn't that big either. So the question that this council has to make a decision is, the residents have asked that if we would treat them, and I hate the way I'm being subjective here, I have an opinion, that we would treat them the way we would treat everybody else in the town. They say, everyone else in the town, they pay a $164 sewer bill, they don't think about the sewer, they don't do anything about it. They don't have to, huh? 178, well, that's not till January. So, at first, I would be honest with you, I pushed back on it. I said, you made an agreement, there's the deal that you made, your lawyer made the deal, your builder made the deal, and every one of your deeds, everything that says you have a homeowners association. However,
The homeowners association is the owner of the pump station.
exactly, so we even know that. We know that the pump station's owned and all this other stuff. So, what they're asking us to do is they're saying, will we take it over for them? Which would mean that when our sewer department is doing their normal rounds, they would visit Cali Court just like they visit Forest, just like they visit Third, just like they visit Orchard. They would make the rounds. If something breaks, they fix it. If the alarm goes off, they check it. The grass that we cut around our other pump stations, they would cut the grass around. So, anything that it's ours. We own it.
Who's taking care of it now?
Nobody. So, the fear that I have is that if nobody's taking care of it and something bad happens, we could always point our finger and legally, we are okay,
Well, and you're right.
but it's still a problem in running.
It was like a situation where I think for a day, the alarm was running.
It ran for over a day. Just went off, and no one there knew what to do. And because there's no leadership in this homeowner association, things like that. So I pushed for the homeowner association to be created, but
Well, made act.
made active. So the proposition that has been given to us, and it came from Summerdale. Summerdale ran into a similar situation, where they had 45 homes, where the homeowner association just was inept. They couldn't do their job. So they basically petitioned the municipality, somebody else to take it over. Somebody else said, fine, we'll take it over under our conditions. And their conditions at the time were, you're gonna pay for everything that needs to be done to get the pump station, everything back to where we think it's acceptable. You're gonna pay any bills that have to be paid. And then at that point, you pay all that stuff, we'll take it over. And at this point, I think Mr. Wozonk has got some information on what it would cost to bring the pump station up to specs. And Ms. Pinto has some other additional costs that have to be paid. Let's do Ms. Pinto first. What is your cost that has to be paid?
I gave it to you.
There's 2 liens. So they owe us, now,
The common areas that were never, the taxes were never paid.
okay, so they owe us $54.88 for one little piece of property.
No.
Oh,
Yeah, second page.
second page, 474? Oh,
No, it's
1685. No?
second page at the last figure.
You could have highlighted it for me. 1744.48.
And the other one is like $153, I believe.
So they'd have to pay us those 2 amounts of money to clear
1744,
48,
and the other one,
And that's
153.75.
calculated to 12/31 of this year.
So the end of the year,
153.
75.
It's close to
So,
2,000.
so that's their initial cost.
Yeah, so they divide that number by 9, and each homeowner pays that, and we're good to go with the association fee. Harry, what's your number?
15,000 to 23,000.
15,000.
It's an open-ended because here's,
Wait a minute. Look,
What are those numbers?
Okay, what Harry did was he wasn't able to get an exact price to bring it up to our standard. He has a range between $15,000 and $23,000. So what we would do is decide between us what number we feel it would be fair, and then add these numbers together and then say, and propose to them that if they pay us that amount of money, we would take it over. That's the example we have from Surrey. Now, logically, they're not here right now, but think about this. They've not paid homeowner association fees in 9 years. They don't know anything about running a sewer system. They don't know, anything about maintaining a basin. Now, you would say that this is done all over the state. There are homeowner associations that take care of all this. But there's very few homeowner associations that only have 9 people in it, or 9 houses. So,
22,000,
so a median would be about 18,000, you figure.
19,
Well, let's look at the
19,000 would be a median.
plus the 2,000.
Yeah, I know.
it all,
Depends on how much.
I talked to 3 different vendors, okay? One vendor couldn't give me a pricing. I'm still talking to them this week. That's actually the manufacturer supplier of the pumps that are there. 2 other vendors have not dealt with a little system like this, who we deal with in municipal work, okay? Homeowners' little grinder pump system is totally different than what we deal with with our DEP requirements and so forth. So that's why the numbers is floating, because I looked at what their cost is on average, just to say, hey, here, this is what's going on. The other thing for the homeowners, the people to understand is, we also have to pay prevailing wages and so forth, to where they can get a better deal doing it themselves. So that's one thing for them to
Would we
understand.
be able, if we get access to the station, be able to get the exact number? Or is that going to be a?
I think it's that you start tearing it apart. Is what it sounds
That's the
like.
whole thing, tearing
You
apart.
start tearing it apart, and then they might have some demands too. Like, I'll give you an example. Some of the residents have said to me, well, we really think this should be improved. You know what I said to them? I says, well, you own it. So improve it in any way you want to improve it. Now, if they ask us to, it's right in there, that they want to improve it, if they want to fence it around off, or if they want to do anything, of course they own it.
If I can let you know on right now, from the time the alarm went off, okay, we went down there and silenced it. We don't know what the status is because the alarm's still off now. We don't know who came in and serviced or anything, but one pump was inoperable. Okay. The panel shows that the pump's turned back on to the power, so somebody came in and worked on it. We don't know who. Okay.
We can ask them.
The generator is in fault right now.
Well, this is the residents.
So with that, we have several different things. So just on that, and the other thing we Mr. Dan knows is we need easements on 3 of the property.
Oh, really?
Mayor, also, there's 2 pieces of land,
Yes,
they're in the name of the Common Association.
yeah, we understand. We have a copy. So, we got a few more minutes, we'll finish. So we're not going to do our normal thing unless there's anything that was specific that someone wanted to do. So let's just finish up these couple of quick things here. Discussion of Red Cross blood drive. I didn't send that to everybody, but I went down to the lake and they asked Runnemede if we would do that. Is anybody's general opinion about a blood drive at the Borough?
I think it's a good idea, I'm in.
Yeah, I've always wanted to
Guys
do
have
it.
any
so.
opinion about that?
Who's gonna run it?
That's it.
Red Cross?
They'll come in and they'll.
Yeah, through the state, it's through the state and through the mayor's wellness, you know, the whole idea. They would just ask us for our facility. It could either be the Harry Williams Building, Borough Hall, wherever.
Probably hire you.
You know.
For years, the women's club ran it. For
Yeah.
many years.
The Women's Club did it?
I think it's a good idea.
Where did they have it
At the Harry.
Val's got it.
Val?
Just don't forget, St. Teresa's is running one, I think December 21st.
December 21st is St. Teresa, so we don't want to go on the same time as them.
Right, you need 6
Get the same
weeks
one.
for the donors.
Yes.
And Barrington just finished one, Monday and Tuesday, they were running it at the.
Well, maybe the Red Cross knows, so hopefully they'll give us a date that maybe works for them. But the question, I guess, is what building? Do you remember where the Women's Club used to have it?
Harry Williams.
Yes.
Was it Harry Williams? Okay. So what we'll do is we'll reach out to them, say that we're interested, and then see what dates they would have. And you're right, we don't want to conflict with our
2
neighbors.
months after the
We'll
21st.
be advertising, we'll advertise it on the sign.
Absolutely.
We'll do everything to help them,
Remember that?
get as many people as possible.
Old Holiday Inn?
Okay, discussion of refund of solar panels. You know what that is? That's typical, Joyce, the solar panel is just a construction fee.
Yeah, this is becoming a bigger problem. Diane has about 6 or 7 from this one company. They're reaching out to see if we can do something to stop this, because this involves a lot of paperwork for us.
To just give the money back.
Constantly. This is just one now, and she has one, a whole packet that she received.
Okay. Tell her to call the UCC, find out, maybe, you know, we can do something. Okay, so let's go around the board. Does anybody have anything specific? Because we do have another meeting starting in 5 minutes
Save mine for
for the regular meeting?
Yes.
Regular?
council meeting.
Council
Did
meeting.
you have anything, Mike? Were you good? Did you have anything else you want to tell us?
No.
Okay. You? How about the engineer? You want to give a 5-minute report? You want to do it at the regular meeting? Okay.
Diane, you want to tell them about the contract for the shelter that we got today?
Oh, we did get our proposal from the animal shelter. It went from $12,600 to $13,200.
$13,200. $600.
So it went up $600. I don't know if you want to take a look at it.
It's not only Camden County Shelter, they're together with something called Homeward Bound Adoption. They're working with, they went up $600.
This is the,
Is it $600 more?
this is the shelter, the fee that we pay for the animals.
What are we getting?
Went up $600.
No, the same.
It's about 5% increase.
We're going down.
Okay, so then we'll go to payment of bills then. Someone want to make a motion to,
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
motion by Ms. Kelly, second by Mr. Lobenstein. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Passio,
Yes.
Mrs. Kelly,
Yes.
Mr. Lobenstein.
Yes.
Mr. Root,
Yes.
Mr. Farrell,
Yes.
Mr. Neal.
Yes.
All right, the bills shall be paid. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Those of you from Cali Court, we're going to have a separate meeting with you guys, but we're going to open it up. Same meeting, but we're going to open the public portion now for anybody who wants to speak. This portion of the meeting is open to the public. Please come to the microphone, state your name and address. Come on, Bob.
Robert Delsoro, 322 West Thomas Street Road, Runnemede. I'd just like to read something to you. It was the first day in 2 weeks that's been fair enough to bring out the colors of the band. I stood and listened and thought of the inspiration of all who witnessed today's ceremony in Paris must have had, just as I was inspired by the plane and the company at Salute. Surely, surely we must mean it all. We as nations must be sincere, now if never before. What a time for true peace on earth and goodwill. When do you think that was written?
18?
December 13th, 1918. Okay, it hasn't changed much in 100 years, has it? This was the inspiration for me doing the World War I monument. What happened was, I was part of the 309th Regiment when I was on active duty. This lieutenant, you can see his picture here, he was a cavalry officer, was attached to the 309th. It was assembled out of Camp Dix. And I've been following this for a whole year. Every month, we get letters that his mother saved these letters. And it was my inspiration a while back when I saw that, to do that. I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for all that you have done for this monument. You know, I'm just so proud to tell you that not one penny and Jim will verify this, because as of today, you know, not one penny is going to be spent by the borough for the time limit that we have. Okay, it's done, it's over with, it's there. The only thing I would ask that, if it's possible, the next time we have a newsletter, I'd like to have a portion of it where I could give the history of the canon and why it was presented. Because I think that people should know a little more about it than what may be there. So, I mean, when that time comes, I'll be glad to, prepare, there's no problem. But, I just want to wish each and every of you the best of the holidays and just see that 100 years ago, they had the same problems with nations fighting with each other. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Great job, thank you.
Mr. Runnemede.
Anyone else? No? No? We're gonna let you guys speak as much as you want. Anyone else from the public for the general meeting? You want to say hello? Okay. And so, it's my neighbor behind me. Okay, so the public, anyone want to make a motion to close the public portion?
I'll second that motion.
A motion by Mr. Lovenstein, second by Ms. Passio. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, we're going to continue the meeting, but it's specifically going to be about Cali Court. Obviously, anybody in the audience is free to stay here. This is a public meeting, but at this time, did you guys want to come up and talk to us first? Sal, did you want to come up and represent, or is there anybody else a couple people want to come up and represent? The only thing I'd ask you to do is you have to state your name and address for the record, and then let's get started.
Sal Jambrone, 10 Cali Court, Runnemede.
Bill Malloy.
Okay? Thank you.
I don't know if the rest of council is aware of why.
They know everything.
Okay.
So you just tell us.
12, 13 years now, we've been through this process. We'd like to end it once and for all. We just want to be treated as any other resident of the town. We pay our county water and sewer bill, we pay our local water and sewer bill. The mayor has referenced the paperwork we signed at closing our title and deed. I reviewed it 3 or 4 times. I'm no attorney. It drove me nuts. I had a friend of mine that's an attorney review it. It does state at the time we bought the house, as far as it states clearly that we're responsible for maintenance of common grounds and retention basin. Nowhere in there does it say pumping station. So that's where we're at. None of this is all a surprise to us. We didn't sign up for that. All along, we've been good neighbors and residents, paying our bills and taxes as everyone else in the town. Our share goes to support whatever happens to the rest of the town, which we have no problem with. And we just want to be treated the same as any other resident in town. So that's what brings us here. Evidently, the engineer signed off. There was a squabble. I don't know how many council members were aware of the history of this project. We were in from the beginning of this project. Some of the neighbors here tonight are second owners or third owners even of some homes that were original owners. So we do know the dealings that originally went on with the developer who passed away and the builder, Joe Ragusa, and what we were told and what we bought. And nowhere was it ever referenced that we'd be involved with a pumping station. So should we just treatment plan or whatever?
Just a
Yeah, so now the township just, I guess, turned the street over, took the street.
We haven't done
Builder
it.
that- Oh, haven't done
No, we haven't done anything
Okay.
yet.
As far as we're concerned, when we signed up, there was a plan, rendering of what it was supposed to look like. It doesn't look anything like what sold us. Okay, that's neither here nor there. We're here because of the pumping station. The history going back several mayors ago, probably several council members ago, when we started this thing 13 years ago, we had to fight for all our services because behind the scenes, which was unbeknownst to us as buyers of homes, there was a squabble between the developer, the builder, and the borough. We knew nothing about it. All we wanted was to get what we paid for as far as services go. And it was a battle. For 3 or 4 years, we couldn't get the street plowed. We were out there shoveling ourselves out for Davis Road on Cali Court so us and our wives and our spouses can get to and from work. So it was a real hassle. And we're all kind of tired of it. We just want to move on and get this beyond and over with. And that's why we're here. I think the mayor had the pumping station inspected and come to find out now that there's a backup pump or one of the pumps needs maintenance or is bad. We don't even know what was put in there, or if it's new, if it's reconditioned. We had nothing to do with the pumping station. We bought a home. We didn't buy a sewage treatment plant.
Okay.
So that's why
Do
we're
you want
here.
to say anything else, or?
Yeah, I think Mattel's, his points are, yeah, right on. And I know there was a lot of issues going on when we first bought the house, and then the housing market collapsed, and there was a problem with, selling rest of homes, and I understand that was part of part of, being on the house sold, so they can get the.
Yeah, that delayed the
whole
closing.
everything, getting the whole street dedicated and all that stuff. And even, going back, I mean, we couldn't even get the mail delivered, it was, Runnemede or Marriott, it was
Yeah,
kind of
it's a
silly.
problem.
But that's okay, but this is, I want to just try to get it resolved where it kind of looks nice. And right now, my main point is, we live there, we try to keep our homes up nice, and the retention time, and so it's planned. I think it needs some work. I mean, and I want to keep it up, so we pay, we pay our taxes, and we want to make sure that we're getting.
Okay, can I have two questions before I turn it over to the lawyer? The two questions I have are, who's been cutting the grass? Do we know who's been cutting the grass at the pumping
It
station?
was actually, it's a fellow that works for Barrington's Public Works.
So he's just taking care of it?
Kathy McDonald knows and hired for the contractor, Joe Ragusa. I called Joe back in July, I guess it was being cut this spring, and we were pleasantly surprised. And we just kept quiet while it was cut once a month, which isn't quite enough, but at least it was being cut. While we're on the subject of retention basin, we've had problems.
But did Joe pay the guy, or who was
Joe
paying?
was paying the guy.
Joe still was paying him.
I was talking to the guy when he came in, and he said Joe was still paying him, and that Joe said to continue paying him this season, but that's it. So he just did his last cut, I guess, the end of August, or was it September?
No, I think it was September.
It might have been the end of September he did his last cut. And he came over to me, I was working on my lawn, and he said, look, he says, I'm probably not gonna be doing this anymore. He says, if the town or you guys get involved again, he says, I can't do this once a month, because it would be like this.
Now, is he doing it for Kathy on the Barrington side too?
Yes.
So their homeowners association is paying him to cut the grass?
I don't know what the deal is there.
Or he's just cutting the grass and somebody's paying?
Okay, yeah.
But he's not doing this property anymore?
No, he said that, Joe said this season is it, that's it. He's done.
The other question I have is, we know the alarm went off.
Right.
And then our sewer department went down there and silenced the alarm. Do you know if anybody's worked on the pump since the alarm was silenced?
I don't know,
You don't-
we're not home during the day.
There was a crew there today.
That's what I saw.
There was 3 guys there today. I went down.
Three guys from where?
I'm from
What?
Borough. I didn't.
We're gonna confuse you now.
Yeah, Sal, give me your name, Sal.
Sal Grosso, 1 College Board.
Okay.
There was a crew there today.
Who are guys?
Yes, it was Runnemede guys. I went down, there was a fire.
But do you know if there was anybody there prior to today?
I do not. I walked down there to see what they were doing, and they said they were just
Because the only thing that our guy says, they thought that maybe somebody turned it back on again.
Yeah, the one breaker's turned back on. Well, who pays the electrical?
Who pays the
We
electric?
have no idea. I do see, public service, reads the meter, but.
Well, one of the fears is, let's be honest, one of the fears is if someone stops paying the electric bill, your pump would stop pumping.
Yeah,
So that's something we have to worry about.
This should have all been explained to us when we bought, because.
Okay, well, now I'm going to turn it over to the lawyer.
I didn't even know.
So now, everyone listen, the lawyer's going to do his part.
First of all, I understand everything you're saying, and I've been involved, sometimes in the background, sometimes in the foreground for the last few months. At the end of the day, the homeowners association, as defunct or inactive or anything like that, is the owner of the property. And there's only limited circumstances where we can step in and actually take care of certain things. The alarm situation, I think, is a good example. And I think our fear is, what we've really talked about, is that we have a situation where we see one of the pumps is inoperable, and you as residents of the borough and taxpayers of the borough are left in a horrible situation.
Correct.
So I think the first step is it safe for me to assume the homeowners association, it exists in paper, but there's no...
No, we've never commenced because the street was never, like, the builder was still, as far as we're concerned, he still needs to finish what he promised us he was gonna do, and he hasn't. So, we never commenced.
recorded.
That was an association, but it's the original group of people.
Yes.
But as property owners, you're the shareholders of the homeowners association, so it's not the builders homeowners association, it's yours.
Well, it is until we take it over, the way
Right.
I understand
Right,
it.
yeah.
Right now, it's the builder,
Did Kathy McDonald have anything to be on that board?
I think I saw it right.
Well, how about we go to our proposal, and you want to hear the proposal?
So, well, hang on, it was somewhere in the bylaws.
And the
There's
developer
3 people.
has passed away.
Kathy was the real.
Vince Cangelosi,
Right.
Joe Russo, and I think it might have been the
There you
real
go.
Kathy.
John Carney, Vince
John.
Cangelosi, and Joseph Ragusa.
That's
So
right.
it's a
Okay.
3-member
Carney was the one I was unfamiliar with.
Are anybody, he's an attorney now.
Okay.
So is, any of those people still around?
Well, Joe Russo is, John Carney was an attorney in Manhattan Heights. I don't know if he is
He
anymore.
is, yeah.
Okay, and what was the third name?
Vince Cangelosi.
No, he passed away. I don't know.
Joseph Ragusa, John Carney, and Vince Cangelosi.
Right, Vince passed away. He actually was supposed to be living in our neighborhood, but
So,
Yeah, he was going to buy the house.
yeah.
so I think it's fair to say that there's interest from,
Your house, you're on the corner.
Yeah, but on the other side.
Yeah.
there's interest on this end of the table from rectifying this problem. I think it's in everybody's
Great.
best interest.
Absolutely. We welcome it.
Step 1, you gotta restart, you gotta take over this homeowners association. Now, is it something where,
We don't even know where to start.
Can I interject for a minute,
Yeah.
please?
Just hang 1 sec.
No,
Okay.
Veronica lives,
Oh, sure.
lives on Cali Court.
Yeah, go ahead.
What I am saying to this, there was a bond, okay? There are lots of things that were not done. Most of our buildings were not completed. The township gave authorization so that this bond could be released, and that should never have occurred. Then, prior to them doing that, they should have alerted us, okay? Now, we getting letters from the lawyers telling us that we had to assume responsibility for the property. That should never have occurred. They should have, they should have called us in a meeting to let us know that they were going to release the bond. Now they released the builder, okay? Things that were supposed to be done were never done.
Can you give me an example of what should have been done?
All right, for instance, personally in my property, they destroyed my property. There
Okay,
was
our bond was only for the road
the road and also
and
to
the sewer
complete-
pump station and the basin.
But
So the
then-
engineer signed off on the basin and the road and the pump station,
All right,
not anybody's properties.
The fence is broken, okay? There
Well,
are
at the
road-
time of the inspection, it might not have been broken.
Now, it has been that way for quite a while. And there are rodents, and we have all
Right.
kinds of rodents. We're having problems
Too much
back there.
wildlife.
I am having that problem. I cannot even go back in my yard, okay?
Rodents by
Skunks,
the pump
groundhogs.
station or by
By
the,
It's because the retention basin isn't being
It's
paid.
Jersey.
And then, not only that,
okay,
the
but
guy who is coming there to clean the property said, I only have jurisdiction to clean certain areas. And that should not have occurred. That property belongs to the community of our development. And all of that should be cared for. I shouldn't be responsible for that, or nobody should be responsible for that. And sometimes when we do have backup, we have water like going almost halfway through the block, okay? Because the sewer
Backup.
system,
you have
yes,
sewer backups?
Well, it's the storm sewers.
storms,
I
the storm.
clean it maybe once a month and Bill goes out to clean it when the 2 storm grates get clogged with all the debris running from Davis Road and up the street. It doesn't drain properly, so then the water just backs up to Veronica's driveway.
that shouldn't be occurring. That shouldn't be occurring. They should not have released the bond.
Okay.
We should have been called.
I was part of releasing the bond. So
Oh, we should have been
I
called.
was fine with releasing the bond because the engineer said that the builder met his requirements. We have public meetings. Everything we do is out in the open. So by law, we couldn't keep his bond any longer. We forced him to do what he was supposed to do.
To make sure that he had satisfied that, us as homeowners should have been called to find out that these things were completed. That's all I am saying. We should have been called to say, listen, what issues are you having prior to releasing this bond? But how could you arbitrarily release a bond without anybody knowing,
Okay.
and now the builder is off the hook?
All right, here's my proposal for everyone here. So our proposal is very simple. The borough, I believe, the members of council, I'm speaking for everybody, but they're the ones who vote on it, not me. As the mayor, I have no vote. But our proposal to the 9 homeowners is very simple, is that if you guys create, have your...
It's already created.
It's already created. You have your...
And that's the hardest part.
You elect directors, and you can elect all 9 of you to be the directors.
Well, 3.
Oh, 3. So you elect 3 people to be the directors. Then you disband the homeowners association.
Well, if that's what you want to do.
If that's what you want to do, you disband the homeowners.
But that would be the entity that could get rid of the pumping station.
Yes.
That's what we're interested in
When
doing.
you- At the time you disband it, before you do it, you give it to us.
Right, and that's as part of a dissolution plan. But your bylaws also reference how to dissolve. It's 2/3 of a vote of your board of directors, which are voted by all 9 of the property owners. It's 3 of you and 2/3 of you can do that. You're also required to do a dissolution plan, and it would be how to get rid of the pump station, us taking it over, because I think there is real interest, like I said, in taking that over, because I think we all can agree it's not working right now.
No.
The current situation is not
As far as
working.
you know, we don't even know anything about it.
So, do you
How
have?
do we expedite this? Because it's been
All right, let me-
13
I'll
years.
finish it.
13 years.
That's part one. Let me finish it. So now, you have your meeting, you do what you have to do, you're going to give the borough the property. Prior to you guys giving it to us, all these problems that you say have to be resolved, you have 2 choices. You resolve them all before you give it to us, or you compensate us to resolve them all.
Well, you see, the thing is this, prior to you forming an organization, some of the new tenants that have since moved into the building did not know this. Did not know that we had to
That's
form an
not
organization.
our issue, yeah. We're trying to, we understand, because Sal, you guys mentioned that you didn't know what you were getting into. But the reality is, it's something that exists. It's something that owns that property.
Well, the only thing
pump
I'll
station. So let's figure out how we can best play the hand we've been dealt. And I think step number 1 is bringing back into active status this homeowners association.
So getting together with myself, the mayor, Mr. Dioria.
And I don't mean to be controversial,
We don't
but
have.
you guys know that there was a homeowner
We don't have
association
an
next door.
association. We never formed an association. The
I
bond was
understand
never-
that. But it's legally there. It actually exists.
I don't,
It's
really?
recorded,
Can
100%.
you send us each one?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I have it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. You can come look at it if you want
So
to.
what you're saying we have to.
Come to this microphone and give your
My
statement.
name is Anna Giambrone, I'm his wife. Are you saying we have to fix the pipe?
No, it's not what I said. I said you have 2 choices. We have a cost that we know has to be paid. Our guys went out there, they looked at it, and they said, we're gonna replace the one pump.
Okay.
If we gotta fix the pipe, we'll fix the pipe. You know, Sal had mentioned to me that maybe there's some dirt that needs to be put around to make it more safe. Maybe the fence needs to be fixed. Once again,
Fence is broken.
I'm okay with us fixing everything, but remember,
Kids cutting from the apartments.
That's exactly why we're here, to avoid that situation.
we were willing to do all this, but let's be real clear. Our thought process is, let's say, for example, it costs $27,000 to do all this. There's 9 of you. You each pay us $3,000, and you're done forever. That's basically the proposal that we're giving you.
That
And
is
we'll
true.
fix everything.
But you know, why did you guys wait this long?
Everybody too, did it?
Just allow it.
You're
Yes.
elected.
Oh, did you see it?
But it's in the school.
Nope.
So, because she's too, before you go forward, I would make copies of this. She's too big to run.